สำหรับการสัมมนาในช่วงนี้นะคะจะเป็นการแชร์มุมมองแนวคิดจากองค์กรผู้สร้างความร่วมมือให้เกิดการตระหนักรู้และปรับตัวเพื่อรับมือกับปัญหา global warming ค่ะขออนุญาตต้อนรับเป็นภาษาอังกฤษกับสปีกเกอร์ชาวต่างชาติของเรานะคะ In this session, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Raphaelo Villavicencio from Mother Earth Foundation, Philippines, who has cooperated organizations from many sectors and empowered them to join hand in hand on climate change crisis. Please welcome.
Saucy, good morning everyone, and thank you for inviting Mother Earth Foundation to this wonderful event. Thank you TMA and to all the participants. Thank you for taking time to attend this wonderful forum. So today I will be sharing our experiences and programs on our zero waste campaigns towards and mitigating climate change or our current climate crisis at present. So the title of my presentation is Systemic Change, Not Climate Change. So why systemic change is very important right now in our current situation? Let's see. So globally, I'll be sharing this data to you because this is what's happening in our countries, communities, cities right now. And what's the relation of these plastics in our climate? Let's see. As per the International Union for Conservation of Nature, there are at least 8 million tons of plastic end up in our oceans every year. At least 8 million tons. And as we dive deeper in our country, the Philippines, the data shows that there are over 500 illegal dump sites nationwide. And this is for the Philippines alone. And I think this is one of the reasons why the 8 million tons is happening. And what's the cost of these illegal dump sites? We have also identified that there are only 33% of the total communities in our country have an operational waste system, meaning to say a collection, recovery, and processing of the waste discarded from the communities, establishments, offices, schools, and universities. So if you'll see this big picture, we can see that the cost of this plastic pollution is from the source, from the land, and from the production. So what's the connection of this in our climate? In terms of climate impact, especially in the illegal dump sites and landfills, it creates this gas, as we see on our climate lens, what we call methane gas, which is more potent greenhouse gas that greatly contributes to the global warming of our world. So as you can see, if you go to the dump sites or a landfill, if you visit them, if you see some smokes, they are not smokes from a fire, but rather, and most likely from the decaying of the organic waste, because there's no proper collection system. So this is the result of it, methane gas emissions from these dump sites and landfills. And that contributes to global warming. What else? From the production and end of life of plastic, there are a lot of emissions happening in there. The degradation and breakdown of plastic represents a previously unrecognized source of greenhouse gases that are expected to increase, especially as more plastic is produced and accumulates in the environment. So if we've seen plastics in the ocean, it's not only as a marine litter. According to the Plastic and Climate Study by the Center for International Environmental Law, specifically a study conducted in a Hawaii island, it was seen that there are also emissions from plastics degrading, floating around and inside the ocean, and also contributes to the global warming that we're currently facing right now. Now, given all of this waste issues and the increase in plastic production and its emission to our climate, how can we help address this problem? Is it only the community, the company, the corporations, the people, or the leaders? Or should it be more of a collaborative effort? We at Mother Earth Foundation and Zero Waste Youth Filipinas is our sub-program where members of young leaders all over the country are encouraged to join and to share their zero waste knowledge and advocacy and campaigns to different communities. We focus our effort and energy into three components. First is the Zero Waste Community Program. This is, later on, I'll show you how can we help address the plastic waste and lessen the emission from the dump sites and from the ocean, and to manage our waste into resources. Second, the Zero Waste Schools. So it's also, as a youth leader, it's also about encouraging and empowering my fellow youth leaders to join and collaborate with other sectors to create innovative ways or solutions to address our climate concerns. And lastly, the zero waste collaboration. Then again, we strongly believe that this is not just an individual or group's action. It should be a collaborative effort among different key sectors, especially from the government, private sectors, academe, waste workers, women's group, and other key sectors in the community. But for us, we'll be focusing on these three components: the Zero Waste Community Program, Zero Waste Schools, and Zero Waste Collaboration. Now, these are our three objectives in addressing the said problem. How can we further help mitigate the climate change? First is to empower the community and the youth, take action and lead in solutions to various environmental programs. It's also about sharing information, knowledge, and what's happening in our current climate and how, as a sector, can we contribute in lessening and managing those climate emissions we're producing. Second is to create collaboration among different sectors, the youth groups, government, businesses, and other key sectors to create an innovative zero waste solutions. Because we firmly believe that the solutions there are a lot of solutions in different communities and different cultures. So we believe that if it's localized, decentralized, but still contributing to the global goal to address the climate change, it will create a big impact. And our last objective is to encourage a shift from a throwaway mentality or a linear way of life into a cyclical or circular lifestyle. And the same goes with the business models. Because we cannot go on with business as usual, we need to shift from a linear cycle of our businesses, of our waste management, of our programs to mitigate the emissions that contributes to climate change. So from circular, we go circular. So empower, again, our objectives are to empower, collaborate, and encourage different sectors to join hand in hand to combat climate change. Now, for the Zero Waste Community Program, how can we address or lessen the waste going to the landfill, dump sites, or in our ocean? First and foremost, we establish and strengthen the system. This is the waste segregation system. We're sharing with our partner communities and cities. So this could be a bicycle, a push cart, or a truck, or even a tuk-tuk. It depends on the community, on the landscape of the community, as long as it serves its purpose. And this is the actual site of community practicing segregation. As you've seen, there are monitoring officers checking if the people, the houses, the offices are practicing proper waste segregation. So that's the zero waste system. And after collecting, how can we recover those precious materials? We also established the Materials Recovery Facility, or MRF, as we call it here in the Philippines, or eco-centers. After collecting the segregated discards, we place the different materials here for the cardboards, PET bottles, hard plastics, papers, glass, aluminum cans, etc. And what we do about our organics is we compost it and help our organic vegetable garden. So as you can see, a lot of waste are already diverted at the community level, or even at the offices, at the establishments, or even in the institutions, as long as uh, they implement a proper and effective waste management system. Also, part of our Zero Waste Community Program is to monitor and partner with business establishments. As you can see in this certain community of business establishments, there's already a law that prohibiting the use of single-use plastics. So people from the city environment are monitoring if they're complying, if there are no more plastic bags or styro. And as you can see on the right picture, it's in a food establishment, and they're checking if they're doing segregation within their restaurants or coffee shops. Now, that's for the community. What about for schools? We do waste audit. We also did this in our community program, but in waste audit, the good thing about this is it gives us a data that that can be served as the foundation of our waste management program. And as you can see, it was led by no other than the student leaders, the young leaders. So this is in line with our objective to empower them as young as they can be and lead the monitoring and implementation of their innovative waste management programs. Then again, going back to the problem, how can we lessen the emissions in the dump sites or in landfills and the marine litter that contributes to our climate emissions? Next, aside from that, and to avoid and to reduce the methane gas being emitted from the dump sites and landfills, we also encourage and share composting programs at school. As you can see, these materials are all recycled. Even those bags are just clean because some schools doesn't have enough resources to buy materials for their composting. That's why we're trying to reduce and maximize the resources we're having to avoid unnecessary extraction of materials. And another program of the Zero Waste Schools is to train young leaders like them, like me, to partner and collaborate with other sectors and also to create their solutions within their community to help mitigate the climate crisis. Now, after the Zero Waste Community Program and Zero Waste Schools, we'll go on to the Zero Waste Collaboration. And personally, this is one of the most highlight of our partnerships in our community, because as you can see, this is a city solid waste management board. This is one of our project sites. As you can see on the left picture, there are representatives from different sectors together with the city mayor. And what's good about this thing is that the youth, the waste workers, the business sector, the religious group, the women's group, the senior citizen have all the same one vote. Meaning to say, one vote to their plan, to their programs, their campaigns, etc., to safeguard the safety and cleanliness and waste management program in their community. So if this is also a thing you can adopt in your community, we highly encourage. But if it's not applicable, it's also okay. Again, it's all about collaboration. This with the young leaders going to the public market and reminding the vendors, the business establishments to avoid or reduce the use of plastics, because we all We know that the emissions from these plastics can greatly harm the climate, and as well as a reminder for them not to throw their waste into the river and waterways and to practice waste segregation. As you can see, after the walk, the climate walk, we did a short open forum also at the center of the market. So even vendors, store owners can participate and hear the discussion. And another wonderful collaboration is that, as you can see, if you're familiar with Dole, it's a pineapple juice company in the Philippines, and I think they're also distributing in Asia. For them to increase their recycling on tin cans, they partnered with this school and empowered and trained student leaders to monitor and check their materials recovery facility. Then again, MRF depends on the profile of the community, number of waste, and types of waste being generated within that community or city or school. So as you can see, the student leaders are checking and collecting and monitoring the waste, and then the tin cans on the left picture, you can see they're also collecting it. And of course, as a result, it gives extra income to the schools, and it able them to buy extra school supplies for the students who doesn't have enough resources to personally pay for it. And we also have these zero waste collaborations. Aside from the Zero Waste Youth Filipinas, we have the Zero Waste Youth Negros Oriental. It's on the central part of the Philippines, because right now there's an ongoing plan to establish a waste incineration, but a lot of research studies have shown that incinerating waste or burning of waste contributes greatly to our climate, and not just only in our climate, but as well as to the human health, and it strongly contradicts recycling and composting programs. So we also have campaigns, online campaigns, petitions, and also partnerships with other sectors. So again, if we want to create a change, it needs to be systemic. It needs not only for an individual, but a group of different sectors working hand in hand to mitigate this climate crisis. And together, we can work towards a circular and zero waste world. Thank you. And that ends my presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raphaelo, for an interesting talk.
ผ่านไปแล้วนะคะกับ3หัวข้อแรกของการสัมมนาในวันนี้ค่ะในแต่ละหัวข้อนั้นก็ได้มุมมองและแนวทางต่างๆจากวิทยากรทุกท่านที่มีประโยชน์กันไปไม่มากเลยทีเดียวนะคะแต่ก่อนที่เราจะไปพบกับสัมมนาในหัวข้อต่อไปนั้นค่ะดิฉันขออนุญาตพักดิจิทัลเบรกกันสักครู่นะคะโดยเราจะเริ่มกลับมาสัมมนาหัวข้อต่อไป The Agent of Change Creating Positive Social Impact ในอีกประมาณ10 นาทีค่ะแล้วกลับมาพบกันนะคะ